Imagine a woman who defied her time, traveled the world in search of occult knowledge, and founded one of the most influential spiritual movements of modernity. Her name, Helena Petrovna Blavatsky. Amid the rationalism of the 19th century, she brought a new perspective on spirituality to the West, merging Eastern and Western traditions into a single body of knowledge. But who was this enigmatic figure? How did her work shape modern esoteric thought? In this video, we explore her life, her monumental works, and the impact she left on the life of Helena Blavatsky world. Helena Petrovna Blavatsky was born on August 12, 1831, in the city of Ekaterinos, Slav, now Dnipro, Ukraine, born into a Russian aristocratic family. Her childhood was marked by an intellectual and literary environment influenced by her mother, a renowned writer, and her grandfather, a scholar of the occult. From an early age, Blavatsky demonstrated an unusual sensitivity to the spiritual world. Accounts of her childhood mention supernatural experiences and a strong interest in esoteric subjects, which contrasted with the rigidity of Russian society. At the time, this inner restlessness led her to flee from an arranged marriage at the age of 17 and embark on a journey that would define her life and work. Blavatsky traveled to various parts of the world, including the Middle East, Europe, North America, and most importantly, India and Tibet. During her travels, she claimed to have come into contact with spiritual masters, known as the Mahatmas, enlightened beings, who, according to her, instructed her in occult knowledge and prepared her for her mission. In the West, these teachings would later form the foundation of Theosophy, the spiritual movement she helped establish. Among her most significant stays were the years she spent in India, where she deepened her studies of Hinduism and Buddhism. During this period, Blavatsky claimed to have received esoteric training in the mountains of Tibet, where she learned about the existence of a universal wisdom that connected all religious and philosophical traditions in the world. In 1873, Blavatsky moved to the United States, where she began to gain notoriety among spiritual and occult circles. It was in New York in 1875 that she co-founded the Theosophical Society, alongside Henry Steele Olcott and William Kwan, Judge, consolidating her influence and creating a formal structure to disseminate her ideas. Blavatsky's life was not without controversy, accused of fraud by some critics and venerated by her followers. She constantly faced challenges in spreading her teachings despite the adversities. Her determination to transmit the wisdom she claimed to have acquired made her one of the most iconic figures of modern esotericism. Her final years were marked by intense dedication to writing and teaching, even weakened by health problems. Blavatsky tirelessly worked on the publication of her masterpiece, The Secret Doctrine, before passing away on May 8, 1891 in London. Her legacy, however, remained alive, influencing generations of spiritual seekers and shaping the landscape of contemporary, unveiling the occult mysteries, occultism. Helena Blavatsky was more than just a mystic, occultist. She became one of the most influential writers in modern esoteric thought. Her ideas challenged the paradigms of materialist science and dogmatic religions, proposing an alternative vision of human and cosmic existence. Among her most notable works, Isis Unveiled and The Secret Doctrine stand out as fundamental milestones in the study of occultism and spirituality. Her first major book, Isis Unveiled, published in 1877, had a profound impact on the intellectual and spiritual circles of her time. With a sharp critique of conventional science and religious institutions, Blavatsky argued that both had lost touch with true ancient wisdom. According to her ancient traditions, held a deep knowledge of reality, but this knowledge was gradually distorted and forgotten. In this work, she explores the connection between ancient civilizations and occult traditions, bringing forth ideas that seemed revolutionary for the time. Furthermore, she argued that many phenomena considered supernatural had explanations that science had not yet fully understood. In 1888, Blavatsky released her magnum opus, The Secret Doctrine, an extensive compendium of esoteric teachings addressing the creation of the universe, the evolution of humanity, and the occult principles that govern existence. This book, based on the so-called stanzas of Zan, ancient texts of unknown origin, presents a complex cosmogonic vision describing cosmic cycles and the interaction between subtle and material planes. Her approach to cosmogony and anthropogenesis reveals a deep knowledge of the origin and destiny of humanity, placing the human being within a larger framework of spiritual evolution within this context. Blavatsky also introduced the idea of the 7 rays and the spiritual hierarchies, explaining how different levels of consciousness organize and structure existence on a subtle plane. The impact of the secret doctrine was immense, influencing not only Theosophy but also various subsequent esoteric movements. Her ideas echoed in Western occultism, Rudolf Steiner's anthroposophy, and even aspects of Carl Jung's psychological thought. Blavatsky's work also significantly contributed to the spread of Eastern spirituality in the West, bringing Hindu and Buddhist teachings to an audience that had previously been largely unfamiliar with these traditions. Her attempt to unite science, philosophy, and religion created a new paradigm in which esoteric knowledge should not be seen as mere superstition, but as a complement to the rational understanding of the universe. Theosophy, the founding of the Theosophical Society in 1875, marked a turning point in the history of modern spiritual thought. Helena Blavatsky, alongside Henry Steele Olcott and William Quan Judge, established this organization with an ambitious purpose to rescue and disseminate ancient wisdom while promoting a dialogue between science, philosophy, and religion, more than just another esoteric movement. Theosophy emerged as a system seeking to understand the universal laws governing existence and to encourage a broader view of spirituality. Theosophy proposed the idea that all great religions and spiritual traditions derive from a single primordial source of knowledge transmitted through the centuries by spiritual masters, known as the Mahatmas. These beings, according to Blavatsky, acted as guardians of eternal wisdom, accessible only to those prepared to receive it. Her mission was not to create a new religion, but to reveal the hidden essence behind all doctrines, encouraging the comparative study of different belief systems. The Theosophical Society quickly spread worldwide, establishing branches in Europe, India, and the United States. One of its most significant contributions was the revaluation of Hinduism and Buddhism at a time when these traditions were often dismissed by Western thought. Thanks to the efforts of Blavatsky and her collaborators, many Eastern philosophical concepts, such as karma, reincarnation, and meditation, began to be widely discussed in the West, paving the way for the later popularization of Eastern spirituality. Furthermore, Theosophy exerted a profound influence on various spiritual and philosophical currents. Figures like Rudolf Steiner, who later developed anthroposophy, and Jiddu Krishnamurti initially pointed out as a future world teacher. By the Theosophical Society itself were directly impacted by this movement. Even Mahatma Gandhi acknowledged the importance of Theosophy in his own journey, stating that theosophical teachings helped him better understand Hindu traditions and develop his vision of universal brotherhood. However, the path of Theosophy was not without challenges. Criticism and controversy accompanied its trajectory from the beginning. Some saw Blavatsky as a visionary, while others accused her of fraud. The Theosophical Society faced internal divisions and difficulties in maintaining its cohesion after its founder's death. Yet despite these adversities, the impact of Theosophy was undeniable. Its legacy has stood the test of time, influencing not only esoteric thought, but also fields such as psychology, literature, and modern spiritual controversies, and criticism movements. Helena Blavatsky was always a figure shrouded in mystery, admiration, and inevitably controversy. From the beginning of her public career, her charismatic personality and bold claims placed her at the center of heated debates. Her followers saw her as a messenger of ancient wisdom, someone capable of translating hidden truths for a world that had become disconnected from its spiritual roots. Her critics, however, accused her of charlatanism, plagiarism, and even manipulation. One of the most controversial episodes involving Blavatsky occurred when the Society for Psychical Research, a British organization dedicated to studying paranormal phenomena, conducted an investigation into the phenomena she allegedly produced in 1885. A report by Richard Hodson labeled Blavatsky as one of the most ingenious and interesting impostors in history. The document was based on allegations from former members of the Theosophical Society and suggested that phenomena such as the materialization of letters and communication with the Mahatmas were meticulously planned frauds. However, decades later, the SPR report itself was reevaluated and discredited by scholars who pointed out methodological flaws and bias in the investigation. Some researchers came to believe that the accusations against Blavatsky might have been driven by prejudice or by the scientific community's difficulty in dealing with phenomena that defied established paradigms. Another frequently questioned aspect is the authenticity of Blavatsky's writings. Many critics argued that Isis Unveiled and The Secret Doctrine contained passages strikingly similar to texts from other authors, leading to accusations of plagiarism. Blavatsky's defenders, on the other hand, contended that her works should not be read as mere academic treatises, but rather as spiritual syntheses of ancient knowledge. Blavatsky never hid the fact that her writing was heavily influenced by various sources, claiming that her work consisted of gathering and organizing fragments of truth scattered throughout the ages. There were also criticisms regarding the structure of the Theosophical Society and how Blavatsky dealt with her followers. To some, her authority within the movement bordered on authoritarianism, and her strong personality often led to internal conflicts. Many former members of the society became some of her fiercest opponents, claiming they had been deceived or that the organization had drifted away from its original goals. Despite these controversies, the impact of Blavatsky's work was undeniable. Even those who contested her claims acknowledged her influence on modern esoteric and spiritual thought. For seekers venturing into the realms of occultism and metaphysics, her work remains a source of inspiration and reflection. The debate over Blavatsky, her authenticity, and the validity of her experiences remains open, as is often the case with figures who challenge conventional thought. Her trajectory is filled with paradoxes. Perhaps this is one of the reasons her work remains alive, challenging new generations to look beyond the veil of skepticism and dogmatism. After all, regardless of the criticisms, her essential message endures. Truth is hidden beneath layers of illusion and can only be found by those willing to seek it with an open mind and a free Blavatsky's legacy spirit. The impact of Helena Blavatsky transcended her time and profoundly influenced modern spiritual and esoteric thought. Despite the controversies and challenges she faced during her life, her ideas continued to resonate, shaping the way many people understand spirituality, philosophy, and the relationship between science and mysticism. Her legacy is not limited to the Theosophical Society, but extends to various movements and traditions that have found in her teachings a bridge between ancient knowledge and the concerns of the contemporary world. Blavatsky introduced a new spiritual paradigm to the West, one that rejected dogmatism and sought a synthesis between Eastern and Western wisdom. Her work helped spread concepts such as reincarnation, karma, and spiritual evolution, which until then were largely unknown or misunderstood outside of Eastern traditions. The impact of this dissemination was so profound that many of these concepts are now part of the spiritual vocabulary of millions of people around the world. Moreover, Theosophy inspired other esoteric and philosophical movements, including Rudolf Steiner's Anthroposophy and Alice Bailey's arcane school thinkers, such as Carl Jung, incorporated elements of Blavatsky's esoteric vision into their own studies. On the collective unconscious and universal symbolism, her influence was also felt in literature and the arts, appearing in the works of writers such as W.B. Yeats and Aldous Huxley, who drew from theosophical sources to construct their visions of atheism and the search for higher knowledge. However, Blavatsky's legacy is not confined to the realm of esotericism. Her work played a crucial role in the recognition of Eastern spiritual traditions, contributing to the popularization of Hinduism and Buddhism in the West. Her advocacy for the comparative study of religions helped break cultural barriers and foster a deeper dialogue between different traditions in times of increasing religious polarization. This vision of universal brotherhood and respect for spiritual diversity remains a relevant proposition for the future of humanity. Perhaps Blavatsky's greatest contribution lies in the way she inspired generations of spiritual seekers to question their own beliefs and explore the mystery of existence without fear of challenging established conventions. Her call for each individual to seek truth independently, without being bound by dogma or external authorities, strongly resonates in a world where many people are searching for a more authentic and personal spiritual path. The question that remains is, are we ready to carry forward this pursuit of knowledge and truth? Blavatsky's legacy is not a closed set of teachings, but rather an invitation to investigation, experimentation, and a deeper understanding of reality for those who dare to look. Beyond appearances, her writings continue to serve as a key capable of unlocking doors to more subtle dimensions of existence. Her books and teachings remain alive, challenging dogmas and encouraging humanity to explore the mysteries of the universe and of consciousness itself. In the end, perhaps the greatest legacy of Helena Blavatsky is the certainty that there is much more to be discovered beyond what our eyes can see, and that the pursuit of knowledge is a never-ending journey where each discovery brings us a little closer to the ultimate truth. Thank you for watching.